What's up, everybody? I'm back. It's Monday, November 17th, and we are going to do a recap of the entire weekend. Man, what an amazing weekend of fights we had. I mean, it was just loaded from top to bottom, starting with the Eubank V Benn fight, rolling into the UFC 322 fights. Sorry. So, yeah, I'm just going to recap everything, just give it clear eyes because... Look, man, it's called the Pubcast for a reason. I know. I'll sit here. We'll watch the fights. I'll have some beers and stuff. But it was so long. I knocked down so many beers that it's always good to come back and give it a fresh eyes and look over the recap and maybe hit on some things that I missed. So the very first fight of the weekend, the big fight of the weekend was, of course, Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn 2. The fourth fight between the families, the Benns and the Eubanks. And it was an absolute masterclass performance by Conor Benn. He looked more full at 160 this time around than he did the first fight. The first fight, I think, is still up there to be fight of the year, because it was a great fight. It was a banger of a fight. Those guys actually absolutely laid it all on the line and went to war in that fight, and it was a great fight. This fight was not that, but it was a brilliant performance and a brilliant display of boxing by Conor Benn. Eubank Jr. looked so sucked down. Initially, I didn't know if they had initiated the rehydration clause, but it turns out that they did, and maybe that makes sense why Eubank Jr. looked so lean and so thin compared to the first fight. The first fight, he looked big, he looked full. Conor Benn looked thicker in this fight, and Eubank Jr. just looked slow. I mean, I think it had to be not only the cut to get down to 160, because he's a big guy and he's getting older, and especially after the first fight, man, it was a war, so it takes a piece out of you. I mean, the fight fans have to understand, when you go through a war like that, like those two guys did in the first fight, you leave a piece of yourself in that ring. And I believe Teddy Atlas said that when they interviewed him after the fight, that he believes that Eubank Jr. left a piece of himself in that ring after the first fight, because he didn't look the same at all. He did not look the same at all this fight, the second fight. And but Conor Benn, with all that to the side, having to drain down and make the weight and then having a rehydration clause, I'm sure that didn't benefit Eubank Jr. at all. But on the technical aspect of the fight, Conor Benn fought an absolutely composed fight. He didn't fight emotional like he did in the first fight, but that's why it made it such a good fight, because he was emotional. I mean, he was trying to take Eubank Jr.'s head off with every single shot in that first fight. This fight, he was smart, calculated. He invested into the body early, all the way through the fight, to be honest. He never quit going to the body in this fight. He was throwing jabs to the body, stiff jabs to the body, and 1-2s to the body, just literally ripping Eubank Jr. to his left side with Conor Benn's straight right hand. He would throw the jab to the body and then rip to the right side of the body. And the feints, the footwork and the feints, I think, was the big difference. He would jump, kind of like how Manny Pacquiao did in his heyday, where he would feint, and then throw his 1-2. Conor Benn did that brilliantly in this fight. The constant feints, and every time he would feint, he would freeze Eubank, because Eubank was waiting for that 1-2, so he'd shell and get frozen, and then Conor Benn would come back with this combination over the top. And he did it for 12 rounds. I gave Eubank the third round generously. I thought he did a little bit more work in that round and actually tried to take the center of the ring and put some pressure on Conor Benn. But it could have easily went 10-9 for Conor Benn in that round. And then with the big 10-7 round in the 12th, Conor Benn gets two big knockdowns, big right hands that puts Eubank Jr. down. I had scored the fight. I had scored it 119-107 is how I scored it. One judge had it 119-107, exactly how I had it. The other two judges, I don't know what fucking fight they were watching. But one judge, and I had got this mixed up in the immediate recap on Saturday night. So sorry, but I was about 18, 20 deep already by that point. One judge had it 116 to 110. 116 to 110. So I had given Eubank Jr. one round, which gave him the 107 score. They gave him 3 more rounds on top of that. What rounds did he win? I didn't see him winning more than that first round, and they gave him 4 rounds. And the other judge, it was 118, 108. They gave Eubank 2 more rounds on top of that, or 2 rounds less than that. But you had a 10-7 round in the 12th. So I don't understand where these other 2 judges were getting their scorecards from. I mean, the one judge had just like me, but it could have easily been 120, 106, because, I mean, it could have easily been 12 rounds to none for Conor Benn. So the boxing, politics, and the judges, and I get it that the judges are all seated at different points in the ring, so they all have a different vantage point. But you could have been sat on the moon and saw how clear-cut this fight was. I mean, it wasn't even close. And to have a 116, 110, and a 118, 108, that's fucking crazy to me. You know, so, but Conor Benn controlled this fight from the first bell to the last. You know, he went for the finish in the 12. He was trying to put the exclamation point on it. Good for him. And congratulations to Conor Benn on the amazing victory. I mean, it was a great display of boxing by Conor Benn. And I think that the only thing that overshadowed the fight was the walkouts. I mean, absolutely amazing walkouts. And like I said in the recap video, the English promoters do these stadium shows better than anyone else in the world. You know, you got to tip your hat to Frank Warren, Ben Shalom, Eddie Hearn, and of course they're all working with Turki Al-Sheikh. They do the stadium shows bigger and better than anyone, you know. There's no question why when Canelo fought Billy Joe Saunders in my backyard at the Cowboy Stadium, AT&T Stadium, that they packed damn near, I think it was like 87,000 people in there. The reason they did that was because Canelo was with Matchroom at the time. Eddie Hearn knows how to do these stadium shows, and it was an amazing show. The walkout by Canelo, I believe he had Pepe Aguilar, who was a famous Mexican ranchera singer, walked him out with his daughter and his son. I mean, the walkouts were crazy because it was for Cinco de Mayo weekend, I believe. Amazing show. So I'll tip my hat to them. They do it better than anyone. You know, Conor Benn comes out with the Phil Collins. You know, it was an amazing walkout. Then he had a full marching band walk him to the ring. And then, of course, Eubank Jr.'s iconic walkout with 50 Cent. I mean, it starts out with Mini Men. Then it goes into Wangsta. And then as he gets his way as he heads down to the ring, it's the song Whoop Your Head that they sang in, that 50 performed in the movie Get Rich or Die Trying. So amazing walkouts, a beautiful performance by Conor Benn. That's boxing. That's English boxing at its best. And I've always been a big fan of English boxing. You know, the iconic walkouts by Klitschko, by Prince Nazim, by Nigel Benn and Eubank Sr., you know, the Anthony Joshua walkouts, the Tyson Fury walkouts, the Ricky Hatton walkouts. I mean, so many, you know. They just do it the best. They do it the best, and you have to give them respect for that. Going on to the UFC, Islam Makhachev just proved to the world that he is the #1 pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. He pitched an absolute shutout against Jack Della Maddalena this weekend at Madison Square Garden in New York City. What a performance, man. I mean, I had questions, and he answered all of them. You know, he looked great in there. He looked big. And this is not taking anything away from Jack. Jack looked absolutely shredded. He was big. I mean, As the fight was about to start, I'm texting my buddy Joe, man, Jack looks big in there, but big can't get you that far when you don't know how to wrestle. I'm not gonna say he doesn't know how to wrestle. When you're going against a wrestler with the caliber of Islam Makhachev in that Dagestani wrestling, man, he absolutely owned Jack. And a lot of people and I even said this too, it was very similar to the Dricus du Plessis versus Hamza Chimaev fight. But the difference is Hamza had like double or triple the amount of takedowns in that fight because Dricus was trying to make his way up at certain times. But this fight, once Islam got the fight to the ground, Jack could not get back up. I believe he had a one takedown and one, two. I think he only had 4 takedowns. I don't know if he got one in the third, but he got one in the first, second, fourth, and fifth. And after that, Jack couldn't do anything, and it sucks for Jack. I really like Jack Della, but man, I really want to be interested if he went into this fight a little bit injured. It's not taking anything away from Islam. Islam pitched a shutout. He fought an absolutely beautiful fight. He deserves the win. He joined an elite class of fighters who have ever won 2 titles in 2 different divisions. I believe he was only the 11th fighter to do that, because you did have Amanda Nunes win 135 and 45. She's the only female to have 2 titles in 2 different weight classes. But the other 9 were all the guys, and Islam became the 11th one to hold that status of two-weight champion. And he just absolutely dominated Jack Della Maddalena in this fight. I mean, yeah, it was pretty much just a shutout. The other thing that I missed while we're talking about that, the fucking troll douche, Dylan Dennis, gets his ass kicked by... I believe Dana called them the Muslim Brotherhood. But now that more stuff is coming out, more footage and everything, so Dylan Dennis was there. He's not a UFC fighter. He fights for Misfits Boxing. I don't even know if he's still under contract with PFL. But he was roaming around, sitting in the fighters section when he's not supposed to be there. And then supposedly, from what I heard on another podcast, I believe it was Morning Combat. Shout out Brian Campbell and Luke Thomas. I love their podcast, Morning Combat. But they said that Dylan Dennis had his phone out and was showing the crowd AI videos of Islam and his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, like making out, like weird shit like that. So of course, he's always been talking shit about the Dagestani guys, and then he went and does that. Like, what did he expect was going to happen? And I understand, look, freedom of speech, this is the United States. You're not supposed to just be putting hands on people, but look, man, this is a respect thing, If you're talking shit and constantly trolling somebody from an arm length away from, on your fucking phone, online, constantly talking shit, whenever you run into that person or those people, you better be willing to get down, because not everybody is just going to rub that shit off or dust that shit off. Like, fuck that. They're going to make you pay for what you said, And I'm okay with that. Honestly, I'm okay with that. As long as you're not out there just randomly, casually just dropping fools for no reason, that's not cool. But if it's somebody who's been talking shit online, poking you, and then when they see you live, they're going to expect to keep trolling and just poking the bear, yeah, get it. You're going to get it. You shouldn't be crying about getting it either, because that's his whole MO, Dylan Dennis. And I hate that I'm even talking about him, because I think he's such a fucking troll, such a douche. But I'm kind of glad he got worked on a little bit, I don't think it's going to keep him from talking, because I think he still believes he has a chance to be in the UFC. But no, he doesn't have a chance at anyone in the top 15. I believe he's a 170er. No, it's never going to happen. He's not good enough. outside of him being a troll and talking shit, he's not good enough, you know? So that was a big thing that everybody's talking about, that he got beat by, was getting beat on by the Muslim Brotherhood, and it started with the dude they called Chenko or John Pork. I didn't even understand any of that was going on. But yeah, apparently the guy Chenko was the one that saw him first and started putting the knuckles on him, you know. But that was the other big thing that happened at UFC 322 in Madison Square Garden this weekend, as it goes with all the Muslim Brotherhood that Dana said. But Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. Valentina defends. It was more par for course as like the Islam fight went. It was 50-45 for Valentina on all three. She just absolutely manhandled Zhang Weili. Her coming up from strawweight, and Valentina is showing another aspect of her game because she's just out grappling everyone now, where before she was knocking everybody out. I think it's because she's getting older and maybe slowing down. Her reflexes slowing down a little bit, so she feels more comfortable in the grappling. But she pitched a shutout. I'm like, dude, by the third or fourth round, you know you're going to win this fight. All you have to do is not get knocked out. So why not take a chance in the fourth or the fifth? Open up a little bit. Try to get the finish. Put an exclamation point on the fight. You know, like try to get Zhang Weili out of there. She's smaller. She's not as experienced as you. Get her out of there. But she just didn't. And that's the only thing that I've seen online about Valentina. You know, she was cruising to a victory. She could have took a couple of chances and tried to stop her, but it is what it is. Valentina, and she still holds on to her flyweight championship. The 170 weight class right now in the men's division, or it's only the men's division, but is absolutely on fire right now. I mean, it's the most exciting weight class in the UFC right now. I mean, you have, after this weekend, you have a brand new champion in Islam. Jack Della, who was the former champ, is probably going to get the #1 ranking, where Bilal had the #1 ranking because he was the former champion. So it's going to be interesting how they go from here, because you had the new champ Islam, then two amazing performances by two top 10 guys. You had #8 Michael Morales taking on the favorite #2 Sean Brady. I was really hyped on Sean Brady. I thought he was going to be the next big contender to run at the title, and he gets absolutely KO'd in the first round by Michael Morales. I mean, Michael Morales looked like he was in a different weight class. I mean, he was huge compared to Sean Brady. And Sean Brady's short, but he's thick too. But Michael Morales looked overall way bigger than him, and he made him pay. You know, he hurt him, drops him, finishes him in the first round, 307 in the first round. What a performance by Michael Morales, man. I mean, he said in the post-presser that he's like, I'm the only one that delivered on my promise. I said I was going to get a first-round knockout, and I did exactly that. So whoever the UFC wants me to fight next, I'll fight them. If they want me to wait for the title, I'll wait. If they want me to beat somebody else, I'll fight them. He goes, I have no problems, issues. He goes, the UFC is the one who makes the fights, and whoever they give me is who I'm going to fight. You got to have respect for a guy like that, especially a young kid like that. He's 25, and he's on absolute fire right now. You love to see that from these young guys. And then the next fight, former world champion Leon Edwards, ranked #4, taking on Carlos Prates, who I believe was ranked #9 at the time. Carlos Prates gets an absolutely brutal knockout in the second round. Leon wrestles him in the first, gets him down, gets to his back, is attempting a choke, finishing the end of the first round. Second round, they come out, and yeah, Prates puts the hands on him, man. He throws a long jab, almost like a feint long jab to just measure him up, and then throws a straight left right down the pipe, catches Leon right on the jaw, and Leon is out before he even hits the canvas. And then his eyes are open, so it's like reminiscing of when he head kicked Kamaru, when Kamaru's eyes were just wide open. That's how Leon looked. And Carlos Prates is just throwing his name into the hat, man. He says he wants to be the next guy, that he's the most entertaining 170er. But, man, we have so much movement at 170. I think they're going to update the rankings tomorrow and Tuesday, and we're going to see how everything falls, because you still have Bilal, who was number 1 because he was the former champion. He's taking on number 5, Ian Gary. Let me see. Yeah, no, Ian Gary's was ranked number 6. So you got the number 1 taking on number 6. Sean Brady was number 2. He just got knocked out. Shavkat's ranked number 3, but he still hasn't come back from injury yet. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Excuse me. Leon Edwards is number 4. He just got knocked out. Kamaru's at number 5, but he just beat number 7, Joaquin Buckley. And then you got Morales was number 8, Prates was number 9, and you got Gabriel Bonfim at number 10. And he was coming off that big win against Rude Boy Randy Brown. So I think after this weekend, because they have the fight in Qatar between Bilal and Ian Gary, that's really going to help settle the division. And then I think that's when they're going to start doing matchmaking. Because, man, those are all big names and with big opportunities. And then you have Jack Della, who's just lost. He's going to get somebody in there too. So whoever doesn't get a fight is going to end up running it with Jack Della. So 170 is absolutely on fire. That is the biggest thing coming out of this weekend, is how 170 is going to settle in. And I'm excited for it. You know, I was super excited right after the fight, because I can just see on the horizon how big it's going to be. You know, it's going to be huge. The next fight down was number 9, Benny Dariush at lightweight, taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis absolutely knocks Benny Dariush out in 16 seconds in the first round. You know, Benoit shoots in for a double. Benny Dariush sprawls. As they're getting back up, he throws a big knee, then misses, and then he tries to throw a left hand over the top. And as he does that, Benoit Saint-Denis throws an overhand left and catches Benny Dariush right on the ear, right behind the ear, puts him down, forehead first, and it was over just like that. And that's going to be big for the lightweight rankings. Benoit Saint-Denis was ranked number 13. Benny Dariush is ranked number 9, so Benoit is going to jump up a few spots. Definitely going to break the top 10 with this victory. So, yeah, it was a huge win for Benoit Saint-Denis. The prelim fights, Bo Nickal gets a huge KO head kick knockout over Rodolfo Vieira. He came out and got a big takedown early, imposed his size. He looked a little bit bigger than Rodolfo Vieira, which is odd, because Rodolfo Vieira is really usually the bigger guy in there at 185. He's such a massive guy. But it kind of played out the way I said. It was going to be like an amateur-looking kickboxing fight, because both guys aren't strikers. They're not pumping the jab. They're not working off of it, looking for angles. They're not setting up traps. You know, they're not using their feet to draw guys in and hit angles. It was basically one shot, 2 shots at a time. But with that being said, Bo Nickal was investing some big body kicks early. His left leg, so liver side to Rodolfo Vieira. He threw some big body kicks early in that fight. And then when he went to throw the head kick that landed and got the knockout, you saw Rodolfo Vieira was expecting that body kick, because his hand kind of went down to kind of like take the sting off the kick, because he thought it was coming to the body, and it went straight up. And I'm talking about shin across jawline, or yeah, it was a little bit higher, because you could see his foot slap against the top of his head, because you saw sweat come off of it. But it was a nasty head kick knockout. It wasn't as technical as Leon's over Kamaru's, but it was still a great kick. And Bo Nickal walks out with the head kick knockout in the 3rd round. It was 224 in the 3rd round. The next fight down, number 15, Roman Kopylov gets beat. Unanimous decision by Gregor Rodriguez. Rodriguez does what he does, man. He just walks you down like a RoboCop and just tries to land big shots. They had him one grappling entanglement in the 1st round. Gregor Rodriguez tried to dive onto the foot for a heel hook, but couldn't get it. Roman Kopylov clears the center line, kicks off. They get back to their feet. But then the rest of the fight was pretty much Rodriguez walking him down, looking for big 1-2s, and Gregory Rodriguez gets the unanimous decision. Aaron Blanchfield, number 4 versus number 8, Tracy Cortez, in the strawweight division, or flyweight division, I'm sorry. Aaron Blanchfield gets a submission victory, rear naked choke in the second round, which that whole sequence started when Tracy shot in, puts Aaron Blanchfield against the cage, but Blanchfield fights it off, or gets taken down, hits a sweep. Tracy Cortez tried to scramble up, and then Aaron Blanchfield hits a double and runs her all the way across the cage. When they hit the cage and hit the ground, Tracy does what she should do, and that's try to scramble right away, get back up to her feet. But in the moment that she's doing that, Aaron Blanchfield throws her right arm over the top, almost like in a seatbelt position, and Tracy does not fight the hands immediately. So when she doesn't, Blanchfield switches to a rear naked choke grip without the hooks or anything, doesn't even have her back completely, and kind of uses that to pull Tracy back over and gets a sub rear naked choke in the second round. It sucks. I like Tracy a lot, but Aaron Blanchfield gets the job done, you know. Kyle Dawkins versus Gerald Meerschaert. Kyle Dawkins gets the 52nd submission victory. Gerald Meerschaert he's got like over 50 fights. He's got like 30-something wins, 21 defeats. The guy's an absolute vet, but Kyle Dawkins in his second stint here gets it done early, and he got back to the company 2 fights ago. He's got 2 wins, 2 first-round finishes. Shout out Kyle Dawkins. It was a good fight for him, and I think this might have been the last time we see Gerald Meerschaert. But he had a great run, great career, a lot of fights. Shout out Gerald Meerschaert, but Kyle Dawkins got the big win. Angela Overkill Hill versus Fatima Klein. Fatima Klein gets the win, unanimous decision. She fought an absolutely beautiful fight. She went for multiple finishes against Angela Hill, but Angela Hill is just so fucking tough. You can't get her out of there. That makes her 1-3 in her last 4 for Angela Hill. So I think she's been such a keystone in that division. I don't know if she'll get cut. They may give her another fight, but Angela Hill is one of those Cowboy Cerrone types where she'll just fight anyone, anywhere, any place. And she's hard as fuck to get out of there, you know. So, but Fatima Klein, shout out to her. Amazing victory for her. And that's going to boost her in the rankings moving forward. Let's see, another one. There's not really... There was the Wellmaker versus Ewing fight. Wellmaker was probably one of the biggest locks on this card. I had picked him and bet him to win. Kyle Ewing just fought on, I believe, Anthony Pettis' promotion for 135-pound title. He wins. He gets the call from the UFC on 48 hours notice. He goes from California to New York City, makes the weight at 45, and puts on an absolutely beautiful performance against Malcolm Wellmaker. Malcolm Wellmaker, I believe he probably overlooked him because he was such a short notice replacement. He probably thought, I'm just going to go in there, style on this fool, and get a beautiful knockout victory at Madison Square Garden. And it went completely the other way. Ewing put the pressure on him. He had great hands. He went for takedowns. He had takedown defense. He didn't look overwhelmed by the moment. I mean, being your UFC debut at Madison Square Garden and get a win against a very highly sought-after prospect like Malcolm Wellmaker, man, I thought he should have got a bonus. I'm sure that Dana will give him a bonus, but he didn't get one officially. I think the official bonus winners were Michael Morales, Carlos Prates, and Benoit Saint-Denis all got bonuses for performance of the night this weekend. But I'm going to stop right there. The Sabatini fight was a decision over Chepe Mariscal, and the Suscaraya fight over Meconico. Suscaraya won by KO in the second round, but it was nothing crazy. Meconico was actually in that fight, so it wasn't like a blowout victory. So, and other than that, I'm trying to think, did I miss anything? Oh, okay, so the last thing. Jake Paul is official going to fight Anthony Joshua in December, next month. They haven't released a place, a venue. I think it's going to be in Miami, but I'm not sure what venue it is. But this will probably be the most watched Jake Paul fight that he's ever had, more than Tyson, because he is going to get knocked the fuck out by Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua wasted no time getting a former UFC world champion and Francis Ngannou out of there in 2 rounds. What do you think he's going to do to Jake Paul? I would not be surprised if Jake Paul gets absolutely decapitated in this fight. I would not be surprised. Anthony Joshua is not playing games. I think he's going to use this kind of like a sparring match, maybe almost like a tune-up fight for another big fight, possibly against Fury. But I don't see AJ carrying him in this fight or trying to have anything to do with any type of fucking gentleman's agreement or nothing like that. Eddie Hearn, I'm sure, is telling him, knock this motherfucker out, like ASAP. We don't get paid by the hour. We don't get paid by the round. Get in there, put this fool out, and let's go cash our checks. I'm so happy. I've never wanted to promote a Jake Paul fight more than this one, and I can't wait. I hope Anthony Joshua fucking hurts him so bad that he never wants to put on another pair of gloves again, ever. So I am ecstatic about this announcement, and I hope AJ, which I believe he will, get his ass out of there quickly. Tyson style quickly, like 80s, 90s style Tyson quickly. So that's it for me today. Just wanted to recap everything with a pair of fresh eyes, clear eyes. So hit the like, hit the subscribe, share it with everyone that you know that loves combat sports, and I will see you on the next one, guys. Peace!